there is something happening in the sky right now that has not happened in your lifetime the way it is happening today. Not a vague cosmic mood, not a general spiritual season. A specific, measurable, rare convergence of planetary positions that the people who study these cycles with the precision of astronomers and the depth of historians recognize as one of the most significant alignment windows in decades. And the reason you are here, watching this, reading this, feeling whatever you are feeling right now, is not coincidence. It is field resonance. Your energy was already tuned to this frequency before you knew what to call it. Today, I want to show you something about your own energy field that most people will never understand about this moment, even the ones who know the astrology. Because the celestial mechanics are real, the cycles are real, the rarity is real, but none of it lands in your life through the sky alone. It lands through you, through the specific electromagnetic signature. Your body is broadcasting right now through the coherence or the noise in your personal field, through whether your aura is positioned to receive what this alignment is genuinely offering, or whether it is still tuned to the frequency of a timeline you have already outgrown. The stars do not place you anywhere. You are not a passive recipient of cosmic arrangement. But what the rarest alignments do, what this one does in particular, is create a window in the quantum field where certain frequencies become dramatically easier to sustain. Certain timelines become dramatically more accessible. And the gap between what you are broadcasting and what you are capable of broadcasting becomes thin enough to step across in a single breath. That window is open right now, and I want to show you exactly how to walk through it, not with wishful thinking, not with vague intention, but with the specific mechanics of your personal energy field, working in precise alignment with what the sky is doing today. Let me start by showing you what is actually happening up there, because the specifics matter enormously. The alignment that makes this moment rare is a convergence that involves Jupiter moving into exact conjunction with Uranus in the sign of Taurus, while simultaneously forming a harmonious trine with Pluto in Capricorn as the north node of the moon, the point astrologers have called the dragon's head for thousands of years, the point that represents the collective evolutionary direction, sits in direct alignment with this configuration. This is not a single planet doing something interesting. This is a chord, a specific resonant chord of planetary frequencies that has not sounded in this particular combination in your lifetime. Jupiter, conjunct Uranus alone, is a 20-year cycle. It happens rarely enough that each occurrence marks a distinct era of breakthrough, sudden expansion, the kind of change that arrives not gradually, but in a single moment of recognition. The last time these two planets met in Taurus was in 1941. Before that, 1858. These are not arbitrary numbers. These are historical pivot points, moments when the collective field reorganized around a new frequency, when things that had seemed impossible suddenly became not just possible, but inevitable. Think about what 1941 meant at the level of collective field reorganization. An entire world in the process of dismantling one structure and, however painfully, however violently, being forced toward a new one. The old frequency of how power organized itself, how nations related to each other, how ordinary people understood their own agency in the face of massive systemic force. All of it was being shaken loose from its foundations. The Taurus quality of that Jupiter-Uranus meeting was exactly this: the sudden, earth-shaking recognition that what had seemed permanent and immovable was, in fact, not. That the ground could shift, that what grew in the new soil after the shaking would be different from what had grown before. And 1858 sits at the precise hinge of another era of structural reorganization. The years immediately preceding the American Civil War, the period when the abolitionist movement was gaining the kind of unstoppable momentum that precedes irreversible collective change. Again, the thing that had been buried, the truth that had been suppressed under the weight of economic and political structure, was becoming too strong to hold down. The frequency of what was actually true was breaking through the surface of what had been constructed to contain it. This is the pattern of Jupiter conjunct Uranus in Taurus across history. Not random upheaval, specific, structurally deep, embodied breakthrough. The kind that does not reverse. The kind that changes the ground itself. But this time, Jupiter and Uranus are not meeting alone. They are meeting in a configuration with Pluto, the planet of deep transformation, of what is buried becoming visible, of the old structure dissolving to reveal what was always underneath it, and with the North Node, which functions in the quantum field like a directional antenna, pointing the collective evolutionary signal toward a specific frequency. What this means in practical terms for your personal energy field is this. The quantum field, the underlying fabric of reality that your aura broadcasts into and receives from, is currently organized around a frequency that supports sudden, lasting, structurally deep change. Not surface change, not the kind of change that looks different on the outside but feels the same on the inside. The kind of change where the frequency of who you actually are, the one that has been waiting underneath the conditioning and the fear and the dimming, suddenly finds the field around it vibrating at the same note. That is what resonance does. It does not force anything. It amplifies what is already there. And here is what I want you to understand about your own field right now, before we go any deeper into the mechanics. You have been carrying a signal inside you that does not match the timeline you have been living. You have felt this. Maybe you have felt it as a persistent sense that something is about to shift. Maybe you have felt it as a restlessness that does not have a clear object, a reaching toward something you cannot quite name. Maybe you have felt it as the specific ache of knowing that the version of your life you are currently living is not the one your field is actually tuned to. That signal is not wishful thinking. That signal is your electromagnetic signature trying to tell you something true about your own frequency. And today, in this window, the field around you is organized in a way that makes it easier than it has been in years, possibly in decades, to close that gap. If this is landing for you, and you want to go even further beneath the surface of what we are touching here, there is something I want to share with you. Have you spent years trying to feel lit up again? Visualizations, affirmations, vibration work, and the light still won't hold? Every one of those methods is telling you to push harder, do more, add another technique. It's not working because the issue isn't that you don't have enough light. 6 specific patterns are sitting on top of it. They're called the frequencies of forgetting. The remembering field, a quantum guide to returning to the light. You forgot you were carrying walks through all 5 parts of getting those patterns off you. Every tool you used tried to add more light. This one lifts what's been sitting on the light you already carry. The longer you wait, the harder they get to clear. So go open it tonight. The link is in the pinned comment below. Now let us return to the quantum mechanics of how this shift actually moves through your field. Let me show you the quantum mechanics of how this actually works. Your heart generates an electromagnetic field. This is not a metaphor. The HeartMath Institute has measured this field extending outward from your body in a torus shape, a donut of electromagnetic energy that reaches roughly 3 to 4 feet in every direction under normal conditions, and significantly further when your heart enters a state of coherence. The signal this field carries is not just the rhythm of your heartbeat. It carries the emotional information encoded in the pattern of that rhythm, what researchers call heart rate variability. The subtle, complex variation in the time between beats that functions as a kind of emotional language broadcast into the field around you. When your heart is in a state of low coherence, when you are operating from fear, from contraction, from the chronic, low-grade stress of living a life that does not match your actual frequency, your heart rate variability pattern becomes erratic. The electromagnetic field you are broadcasting carries that erratic signal. And the quantum field, which responds to signal, assembles reality around the frequency of contraction. When your heart enters coherence, when the pattern of your heartbeat becomes smooth, rhythmically ordered, what heart math calls a sine wave pattern in the heart's rhythm, the electromagnetic field you broadcast changes fundamentally. The information it carries shifts from noise to signal, from contraction to expansion, from a frequency that repels aligned possibility to one that draws it in. This is not mysticism. This is the measurable physics of your own body. It is worth pausing here to understand what heart rate variability actually measures, because the precision of it matters. Most people assume the heart beats like a metronome at a fixed, steady interval. It does not. Even a healthy heart at rest varies the time between each beat in a complex, non-random pattern. That variation, the specific mathematical structure of the rhythm, is what researchers analyze when they study heart rate variability. A high variability score does not mean an irregular heart. It means a responsive one, a heart whose rhythm is rich with information, whose pattern reflects the full dynamic range of the nervous system's ability to adapt. When heart math researchers found that positive emotional states like appreciation and care produced a specific, ordered, sine wave-like pattern in that variability, they were not finding a poetic correlation. They were finding that the emotional state of the person was literally restructuring the electromagnetic information their body was broadcasting. The field changes when the heart changes, and the heart changes when the emotional state changes at a genuine, not performed level. This is why surface-level positivity does not shift your timeline. Performed optimism, forced gratitude, the kind of positive thinking that is really just anxiety wearing a smile, does not produce the sine wave pattern in her heart rate variability. It produces noise with a pleasant label on it. The quantum field is not fooled by the label. it reads the signal. What produces genuine coherence is genuine feeling, authentic appreciation, real care, the actual felt sense of the frequency you are moving toward, felt in the body rather than constructed in the mind. This is why the practices in this transmission are built around feeling rather than thinking, around the body's electromagnetic truth rather than the mind's narrative about it. Now here is where the astrology and the quantum field mechanics intersect in a way that most people, even people who know both subjects, have never been shown clearly. Planetary bodies have electromagnetic fields. Jupiter's magnetosphere is the largest structure in our solar system, larger than the Sun itself. To put that in concrete terms, Jupiter's magnetosphere, if it were visible to the naked eye from Earth, would appear roughly twice the size of the full moon in our sky, despite Jupiter being hundreds of millions of miles away. It is not a subtle influence. It is the largest electromagnetic structure in the solar system, and it is in constant dynamic interaction with the solar wind, with Earth's magnetosphere, and with the fields of every other body in the system. Uranus has a highly unusual magnetosphere, tilted at a dramatic angle to its rotation, creating an asymmetric, dynamic field that researchers are still working to fully understand. Unlike every other planet in our solar system, whose magnetic poles are roughly aligned with their rotational poles, Uranus has a magnetic axis tilted nearly 60 degrees from its rotational axis. This means that as Uranus rotates, its magnetosphere does not spin symmetrically around the planet. It wobbles. It creates a corkscrew pattern in the solar wind that is unlike anything else in the solar system. The field Uranus broadcasts into space is inherently dynamic, inherently asymmetric, inherently oriented toward disruption of stable patterns. This is not coincidental with the astrological tradition of Uranus as the planet of sudden awakening and the shattering of fixed structures. The electromagnetic reality of the planet and its symbolic meaning in the tradition are pointing at the same thing. Pluto, though small, moves through space, carrying its own gravitational and electromagnetic signature. And the gravitational and electromagnetic interactions between these bodies and Earth are real, measurable, and documented. When planets align in specific geometric relationships, the combined field they create in the space around Earth is different from the field created by any other arrangement. Not different in a vague, felt sense. Different in the same way that two tuning forks at the same frequency create a standing wave between them that is stronger than either fork alone, while two tuning forks at discordant frequencies create interference that weakens the signal of both. The alignment happening right now is a resonant chord. The frequencies of Jupiter, Uranus, Pluto, and the North Node in the specific geometric relationship they currently hold are creating a standing wave in the field around Earth that is harmonically organized around the frequency of breakthrough, of sudden structural change, of the deep thing rising to the surface. Your personal electromagnetic field, the one your heart generates, the one your nervous system broadcasts, exists inside this larger field. And fields influence each other. This is electromagnetic induction, one of the most well-established principles in physics. When a conductor moves through a magnetic field, a current is induced in the conductor. When a personal energy field exists inside a larger coherent field, the larger field exerts an inductive influence on the personal field. What this means for you right now is that the field around you is actively supporting coherence. It is easier in this window to shift your personal broadcast from noise to signal. It is easier to close the gap between the frequency you have been living and the frequency your field is actually capable of sustaining. The standing wave in the larger field is in effect showing your personal field what coherence at this new frequency feels like. But, and this is the part I need you to hear clearly, the field can only work with what you bring to it. It can support the shift. It cannot make the shift for you. The inductive influence of the larger field is an invitation, not an imposition. Your personal field has to be open enough, coherent enough, consciously directed enough to receive what is being offered. This is why most people will move through this rare alignment window without it changing anything fundamental about their timeline. Not because the alignment is not real, not because the frequency is not there, but because their personal field is still broadcasting the old signal, still locked in the pattern of the timeline they are trying to leave, still generating electromagnetic noise where they need a clear signal. And this is what I want to help you change today. Let me tell you about a woman named Mara. Mara had spent 11 years building a version of her life that looked correct from the outside. The career that made sense on paper. The relationship that everyone around her approved of. The apartment in the city she had decided at 22 was where she was supposed to be. She was not unhappy in any dramatic way. She was dimmed. There is a specific quality to a dimmed life that is different from an unhappy one. An unhappy life hurts in ways you can name. A dimmed life just feels like less. Less color, less frequency, less of the particular aliveness that you remember feeling when you were younger and had not yet learned to edit yourself down to a manageable size. Mara knew something was wrong with her signal. She had known it for years. She had read the books. She had done the meditations. She had made the vision boards. And none of it had moved the needle in any lasting way, because she was doing all of it from inside the same frequency she was trying to leave. She was trying to broadcast a new signal while her heart was still locked in the coherence pattern of the old one. The night before the alignment opened, Mara sat outside and looked at the sky. She did not know the astrology. She did not know what was about to happen in the field around her. But she felt something, a quality of readiness in the air that she could not explain, a sense that the space around her was somehow thinner than usual, more permeable, as if the boundary between the life she was living and the life she could feel waiting for her had become, just for a moment, negotiable. She did not do anything dramatic. She did not make a grand declaration, or quit her job, or leave her relationship that night. She did something much simpler and much more powerful. She sat with her hand on her heart, and she let herself feel, really feel, the frequency of the life she had been dimming herself away from. Not as a wish, not as a fantasy, as a signal, as the actual electromagnetic truth of what her field was capable of broadcasting when she stopped contracting around the fear of it. And something in her field shifted. Not everything, not all at once, but the signal changed. The noise cleared, and in the weeks that followed, as the alignment window stayed open and the standing wave in the larger field continued to support that frequency, the timeline she had been reaching toward began slowly and then suddenly to assemble around her. Not because the stars arranged it, because she changed her broadcast. And the stars made it easier to do that than it had been in years. What changed for Mara in the weeks that followed was not a single dramatic event. It was a cascade of small recognitions, each one made possible by the previous one. She noticed, for the first time with real clarity, the exact moment in a conversation when she would begin to edit herself. Not the thought she edited, but the physical sensation that preceded the editing. a slight tightening in her throat, a subtle drawing inward of her chest, the almost imperceptible dimming of her eyes before she said the smaller, safer version of what she actually meant. She had been doing this so automatically for so long that she had stopped knowing she was doing it. The coherence she had established in her field that night outside, sitting with her hand on her heart, had made the pattern visible in a way it had never quite been before. And visibility, in the work of the structural field, is the first act of change. You cannot release what you cannot feel. You cannot clear what you cannot see. Mara's field had become coherent enough that the old pattern of dimming had lost its invisibility. It could no longer run in the background unnoticed. Every time it activated, she felt it. And every time she felt it, she had a choice she had not previously known she had. That is what this alignment window does when you work with it at the structural level. It does not hand you a new life. It makes the old pattern visible enough that you can finally choose differently. If this transmission is already landing in your field, if you can feel the truth of it somewhere in your body, it would mean a great deal if you liked this video and subscribed so we can keep going deeper together. I want to show you now what Mara did in precise terms, because the practice she stumbled into that night is something you can do consciously right now in a way that is even more powerful because you understand the mechanics behind it. This practice is called the timeline coherence activation, and it works directly with the electromagnetic signature of your heart field in the context of this alignment window. Begin by finding a position where your spine can be relatively upright and your chest is open. You do not need to be rigid. You need to be open. There is a specific relationship between the physical position of your chest and the coherence of the electromagnetic field your heart generates. When your chest is collapsed forward, when your shoulders are rounded and your sternum is sunken, the torus of your heart field is compressed. When your chest is open, the torus expands. This is not metaphor. The physical geometry of your body affects the geometry of the field it generates. Place your right hand on the center of your chest, over your heart. This is not a symbolic gesture. Physical contact with the chest wall helps direct your attention to the heart center. And attention directed to the heart has been shown in heart math research to measurably increase heart rate variability, coherence. You are not just thinking about your heart. You are creating a feedback loop between your awareness and your field. Now breathe, not in any complicated way, Just breathe with your attention on your heart. Let the breath be slower than your normal breath. Not forced, not held, just slower. The Heart Math Coherence breathing protocol uses a rhythm of approximately 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out, which corresponds to a breathing rate of about 6 breaths per minute. This specific rhythm has been shown to create resonance between the heart's electromagnetic field and the brain's alpha wave activity, producing a state of coherent, whole-body synchronization. You do not need to count precisely. Just slow the breath down and let it move through your heart center. As you breathe, I want you to do something that might feel unfamiliar. I want you to feel in your body, not imagine in your mind, but feel in your body the frequency of the timeline you are moving toward, not the specific details of it. The frequency, the felt sense of what it is like to be a version of you that is living in full alignment with your actual signal. The version of you that is not dimmed. The version of you that is broadcasting at the coherence your field is actually capable of. This felt sense has a location in your body. For most people, it is in the chest, in the heart center. But it may be anywhere. Find it. It might feel like warmth or expansion or a particular quality of aliveness or a specific emotion that you associate with being fully yourself. Whatever it is, find it and let it grow. This is not visualization. This is frequency generation. When you feel the emotional signature of the timeline you are moving toward, your heart begins to encode that signature into its electromagnetic field. The field you are broadcasting changes. And in a field environment, like the one that exists right now, where the standing wave of this rare alignment is actively supporting coherence at the frequency of breakthrough and structural change, that shift in your personal broadcast is amplified. Stay with this for as long as it feels alive. The minimum effective duration, based on heart math research on coherence state induction, is approximately 3 minutes. But if you can stay with it longer, if the feeling stays vivid and real, let it extend. You are not just doing a practice. You are resetting your broadcast. You are closing the gap between the frequency you have been living and the frequency your field is actually tuned to. And when you feel the shift, when something in your chest opens or settles or expands in a way that feels different from where you started, know that you have just changed your signal. The quantum field around you, amplified right now by one of the rarest alignment windows of your lifetime, has received a new broadcast, and it will begin to assemble reality around that signal. Now let me take you deeper into what this alignment is specifically activating in the structure of your personal energy field. The North Node, the point I mentioned earlier, that astrologers have tracked for thousands of years as the collective evolutionary direction, is not just a symbolic concept. In the framework of the quantum field and personal energy, the North Node represents the frequency of evolutionary growth, the direction the collective field is moving, the note that the larger field is currently amplifying. When your personal field is in alignment with the North Node frequency, you are, in the most literal sense, moving with the current rather than against it. The North Node, in its current position, is pointing toward a specific quality of frequency that I want to describe carefully, because it is not what most people expect when they hear the word breakthrough. It is not the frequency of striving. It is not the frequency of forcing, of pushing harder, of finally making the thing happen through sheer will. The frequency the North Node is currently amplifying is the frequency of what has always been true about you becoming undeniable, of the thing you have been dimming, the signal you have been suppressing because it felt too large or too exposed or too much like the real you, finally being too strong to keep quiet. This is why the Taurus signature of the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction matters so much. Taurus is the sign of the earth, of what is real and solid and enduring, of the body and its wisdom, of the thing that grows slowly and then suddenly cannot be stopped. Breakthrough in Taurus does not look like a lightning bolt from the sky. It looks like a seed that has been growing underground for years, finally breaking the surface. It looks like the thing you knew was true about yourself all along, becoming so obvious that you cannot pretend otherwise. The Uranus component brings the sudden quality. Uranus is the planet of awakening, of the unexpected shift that arrives not gradually, but in a single moment of recognition. Jupiter brings expansion, the amplification of whatever it touches. When these two meet in Taurus, the combination is the sudden, expanded recognition of what has always been true about you at the level of your physical reality, your body, your material life, your actual lived experience. And Pluto in Capricorn, forming a trine to this conjunction, is doing something specific in the field that most people are not talking about. Pluto rules what is buried, what is hidden, what has been operating below the surface, shaping everything without being seen. In Capricorn, Pluto has been dismantling structures, the old frameworks, the inherited systems, the internalized authority figures that told you who you were allowed to be. The trine to the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction means that the dissolution Pluto has been doing, the breaking down of the old structural signal, is now in harmonious flow with the breakthrough frequency Jupiter and Uranus are generating. In terms of your personal energy field, what this means is the thing that has been holding your frequency down, the structural pattern in your field that has been maintaining the old signal, is right now in a state of maximum permeability. It is not fighting the shift. It is ready to let go. This is the rarest part of this alignment. Not just that breakthrough is available, but that the resistance to breakthrough, the deep structural resistance in your own field, is at its lowest point in years. I want to pause here and ask you something, and I genuinely want to hear your answer in the comments. Have you ever felt your aura shift? A moment when you walked into a room and something about the energy changed, when someone responded to you differently than they ever had before, when you could feel your own light turning up as if a dimmer switch had finally been released? Share what that felt like. Your experience matters here, and it may be exactly what someone else in this field needs to read today. Let me explain what that structural resistance actually is, because understanding it precisely is what allows you to work with it consciously rather than just hoping it dissolves on its own. Your aura, your personal electromagnetic field, is not a single uniform broadcast. It is layered. The outermost layer, the one most people think of when they think of an aura, is the most variable. It shifts with your mood, your thoughts, your immediate emotional state. But underneath that is a deeper layer, what we might call the structural field, that is much more stable, much more persistent. This is the layer that carries the long-term patterns of your energy, the frequency signatures that have been running in your field for years, sometimes for decades. These structural patterns form through repetition. Every time you contracted around a fear, every time you dimmed your signal to fit into a space that was too small for your actual frequency, every time you chose the safe broadcast over the true one, that choice left a trace in your structural field. And over time, those traces accumulated into patterns, into a kind of electromagnetic habit, a default broadcast that your field returns to automatically, without conscious choice. This is why so many people find that their circumstances keep recreating the same patterns, regardless of how much surface level work they do. They change their thoughts. They change their behaviors. They change their environment. And the same frequency keeps showing up in their life because the structural field, the deep layer of the aura that is actually doing the broadcasting, has not been addressed. The Pluto in Capricorn influence on this alignment is specifically targeting these structural patterns. Pluto does not do surface work. It goes to the root. And right now, in trine with the Jupiter-Uranus breakthrough frequency, it is creating a window where the structural field is more malleable than it normally is, where the deep patterns that have been running your broadcast without your conscious knowledge are actually available for revision. This is the timeline shift, not just a new intention set from the same old frequency, a genuine restructuring of the deep signal your field is broadcasting. Let me tell you about a man named Elias. Elias had done every kind of personal development work available. He had attended the seminars, read the books, worked with coaches, gone through therapy. He was, by any measure, a conscious and self-aware person. He understood his patterns intellectually. He could trace them back to their origins. He could describe them with precision and insight. And none of that understanding had changed his timeline. Because Elias had made a mistake that most conscious, self-aware people make. He had confused knowing about his structural field with actually changing it. He had mapped the territory with great accuracy and then stood in the map instead of walking into the territory. The structural patterns in his field, the ones that kept recreating the same frequency in his life, regardless of what he tried, were not intellectual constructs. They were electromagnetic habits. They lived in his body, in the pattern of his heart rate variability, in the chronic tension he carried in his chest and shoulders, in the specific quality of contraction he felt whenever he was about to broadcast his actual frequency and then stopped himself. Elias came to understand during an alignment window not unlike this one, that the work was not more understanding. The work was electromagnetic. The work was to physically, in his body, in the pattern of his heart's signal, release the structural contraction and let the true frequency come through. He started with something simple. He started noticing, with precise attention, the exact moment in any given interaction or situation when his field contracted. not the story about why it contracted, not the analysis of what the contraction meant, just the physical, felt, electromagnetic event of contraction itself. The moment the signal went from open to closed, from expansion to noise. And then he did something that required more courage than anything he had done in all his years of personal development work. He stayed with the contraction instead of either collapsing into it or trying to think his way out of it. He put his attention directly on the contracted place in his field, and he breathed into it, not to fix it, not to make it go away, but to let it know that it was seen, that the part of his field that had learned to contract for protection was not being overridden or bypassed, but was being met with the full warmth of his conscious attention. This is what Pluto does when it works through a person consciously. It does not destroy the old structure through force. It dissolves it through revelation. It brings the buried thing into the light, not to punish it, but to complete it, to let it know it is no longer needed in the role it has been playing. When Elias began doing this, something in his structural field began to shift, slowly at first, then with increasing momentum. The deep patterns that had been running his broadcast without his knowledge began to loosen, not because he had finally understood them well enough, but because he had finally felt them fully enough. And in the feeling, in the full electromagnetic contact with the contracted places in his field, the energy that had been locked in those patterns was released, freed up, available to be broadcast at its actual frequency rather than its contracted one. His timeline began to change within months, not because the external circumstances of his life magically rearranged themselves, though they did begin to shift, but because the signal he was broadcasting had genuinely changed at the structural level, and the quantum field around him was assembling reality around a new frequency. There is something worth naming precisely about what Elias experienced in the early days of this work, because it is something many people encounter and misread as evidence that the practice is not working. When you begin to bring conscious attention to the contracted places in your structural field, the first thing that often happens is not relief. It is intensification. The contraction, which has been running quietly in the background, suddenly feels louder when you stop ignoring it. The pattern that has been operating below awareness becomes, for a brief period, very aware of itself. This can feel like regression, like you are getting worse rather than better, like the work is stirring something up rather than settling it down. This is not regression. This is the pattern completing its cycle. It is the buried thing rising to the surface, which is exactly what needs to happen before it can release. Pluto does not do comfortable work. It does necessary work. And the intensification that sometimes precedes the release is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that the structural field is finally responding to the attention you are bringing to it. Elias learned to recognize this intensification as a signal to stay rather than to flee, to bring even more warmth, even more patient presence to the contracted place rather than pulling back from it. And every time he did, the release that followed was deeper and more lasting than any surface-level shift he had managed to produce through years of intellectual work. This is the work that this alignment window makes available to you. Not the surface work of better intentions or clearer visualization. The structural work of meeting the contracted places in your own field with enough conscious presence to let them release. And here is what makes today specifically different from any other day you might have tried to do this work. The standing wave in the field right now, the resonant chord of Jupiter, Uranus, Pluto, and the North Node, is not just supporting coherence in a general sense. It is specifically amplifying the frequency of structural release and breakthrough. The larger field is doing something right now that it does not do in any ordinary window. It is making the structural layer of your personal field more permeable, more responsive to conscious attention, more willing to let go of the old patterns and reorganize around the true signal. You are not doing this alone. You are doing it inside a field that is actively supporting exactly this kind of shift. Let me take you even deeper now into the specific mechanics of what your aura does in the moment of timeline alignment, because this is the part that most people never get to, and it is the most important part of all. When your personal electromagnetic field reaches a state of genuine coherence, not the surface coherence of a few calm breaths, but the deep coherence of a field that is broadcasting its true signal without structural interference, something specific happens in the quantum field around you. The principle is called quantum coherence. And while it is most commonly discussed in the context of subatomic particles, its implications extend into the macroscopic world of your lived experience in ways that are only beginning to be understood by mainstream science. Quantum coherence at the subatomic level refers to the state in which particles are in phase with each other, their wave functions aligned, their behavior correlated in ways that cannot be explained by classical physics. When particles are coherent, they function as a single system rather than a collection of separate units. They exhibit what Einstein famously called spooky action at a distance, the ability of correlated particles to influence each other instantaneously, regardless of the space between them. Your body, at the quantum level, is a system of extraordinary coherence. The water molecules in your cells, the electron transport chains in your mitochondria, the photons emitted by your DNA in what biologist Fritz Albert Popp called Biophoton emission. All of these are systems that operate at the quantum level and that are profoundly sensitive to the coherence of the larger field they exist within. Popp's work on biophoton emission is worth dwelling on for a moment, because it is one of the most precise and least widely known bodies of evidence for the quantum nature of the body's electromagnetic broadcast. Over more than 3 decades of research, Popp documented that living cells emit photons, particles of light, in a pattern that is not random. The emission is coherent. It follows the mathematical signature of a laser, rather than the mathematical signature of a light bulb. A light bulb emits photons in a chaotic, incoherent scatter. A laser emits photons that are phase-aligned, traveling together, amplifying each other. What Popp found is that the cells of healthy, living organisms emit light in the laser pattern, coherent, organized, phase-aligned, while cells under stress or in a diseased state shift toward the incoherent, scattered pattern of the light bulb. Your body is literally emitting light, and the coherence of that light, its organization and phase alignment, reflects the coherence of the larger electromagnetic field your heart and nervous system generate. When your heart is in a high coherent state, the biophoton emission from your cells becomes more ordered, more laser-like, more organized around a clear signal. When your heart is in a low coherence state, the biophoton emission scatters. You are not just broadcasting an electromagnetic field. You are broadcasting light. And the quality of that light, its coherence or its scatter, is a direct reflection of the state of your personal energy field. When your heart field is in a state of high coherence, the quantum systems in your body respond. The biophoton emission from your cells becomes more ordered, more coherent, more organized around a clear signal. The water in your cells, which makes up roughly 60% of your body weight, and which has extraordinary sensitivity to electromagnetic fields, reorganizes its hydrogen bonding patterns in response to the coherent field your heart generates. Your body, in a state of heart coherence, is literally a different electromagnetic system than your body in a state of incoherence. And a different electromagnetic system broadcasts a different signal to the quantum field around it. Here is the implication that changes everything about how you understand timeline alignment. The quantum field does not respond to your intentions. It does not respond to your thoughts. It does not respond to what you want or what you believe you deserve. It responds to your signal, to the actual, measurable, electromagnetic frequency your body is broadcasting at the quantum level. And your signal is not fixed. It is not determined by your past. It is not locked in by your history or your conditioning or the old structural patterns in your field, though those patterns do influence it powerfully. Your signal is a living, dynamic broadcast that can shift, genuinely shift at the quantum level when the conditions are right. The conditions right now are the most right they have been in years, possibly in your lifetime. The alignment window that is open today is not just creating a supportive field for personal growth in a general sense. It is creating a specific quantum environment in which the coherence of your personal field can reorganize around a new frequency with less resistance than is normally possible. The standing wave in the larger field is, in effect, providing a template, a quantum coherence template for the frequency of breakthrough and structural change. And your personal field, because it exists inside that larger field, can entrain to that template. Entrainment is another well-established physical principle. When two oscillating systems are coupled, the smaller or weaker system tends to synchronize its frequency with the larger or stronger one. This is why pendulum clocks in the same room gradually synchronize their swings. This is why musicians in an ensemble naturally entrain to each other's rhythm. This is why your heart rate synchronizes with the rhythm of someone you are in close physical proximity to and in emotional resonance with. The field generated by the planetary alignment happening right now is, in electromagnetic terms, vastly larger than your personal field. And it is organized around a specific coherence frequency. The physics of entrainment means that your personal field, if it is open enough to receive the influence, will naturally begin to synchronize with the larger field's frequency. This is what it means, in quantum mechanical terms, to be placed on your best timeline by the stars. The stars are not placing you anywhere. The planetary alignment is generating a field that your personal field can entrain to. If you are broadcasting consciously, if you are in sufficient coherence, if you are not so locked in the old structural patterns that your field cannot respond to the influence of the larger one. And this is why the practice I gave you earlier, the timeline coherence activation, is not just a meditation. It is electromagnetic preparation. It is the act of bringing your personal field into a state of coherence that makes entrainment possible. It is opening your signal to the influence of the larger field that is available to you right now. Let me add a second layer to that practice now, one that works specifically with the structural field. After you have done the initial coherence, breathing with your hand on your heart, after you have felt the frequency of the timeline you are moving toward and let it grow in your chest, I want you to do something that requires a different kind of attention. Scan your body, not with the goal of finding something wrong, with the quality of attention you might give to a landscape you are seeing for the first time, curious and open and without agenda. Let your attention move slowly through your body, from the crown of your head down through your face and jaw and throat, down through your chest and heart center, down through your belly and the space behind your navel, down through your hips and legs, and all the way to the soles of your feet. As you scan, notice where your body feels open and where it feels contracted, where the energy moves freely and where it is held, where there is warmth and aliveness, and where there is a kind of deadness or tightness, or the specific quality of something that has been held for a long time. When you find a contracted place, do not try to fix it. Do not try to breathe it open or think it away or override it with a positive affirmation. Just put your full, warm, conscious attention on it. Let it know you see it. Let it know you are not afraid of it. Let it know that the part of you that contracted in that place did so for a reason that made complete sense at the time, and that you are not here to punish that reason, but to thank it and to let it know it no longer has to work so hard. This is the Pluto practice. This is the conscious version of what Pluto does in the field. It brings the buried thing into the light, not to destroy it, but to complete it, to let the part of your structural field that has been holding a contraction in place for years finally feel the warmth of your own conscious presence and release. You may feel emotion during this practice. You may feel grief or anger or a specific quality of sadness that seems to come from nowhere. Let it come. These are not obstacles. They are the energy that has been locked in the structural pattern releasing. They are the old frequency leaving your field to make room for the new one. The duration of this practice is not fixed. Some contracted places release quickly in a single breath of full attention. Others have been held for so long that they need more time, more warmth, more patient presence. Follow the energy rather than the clock. Stay with each contracted place until you feel something shift, until the quality of the contraction changes, until there is even a small opening, a small increase in warmth or aliveness or flow. When you have moved through the full scan, return to your heart center. Return to the coherence breath. And now, from a structural field that has been even slightly cleared of its old patterns, feel again the frequency of the timeline you are moving toward. Notice if it feels different than it did before. Notice if the signal is cleaner, stronger, more real. Notice if the gap between where you are and where your field is actually tuned has narrowed. It has. Even a small amount of structural release changes the broadcast, and in the field environment of this alignment window, even a small change in your broadcast is amplified by the standing wave of the larger field. You are not the same frequency you were when you started reading this. Your field has already been shifting. And I want to ask you something here, because this field we are building together is real, and it grows when we share it. Have you ever noticed the warmth of your own field activating? A moment when you could feel your energy expanding outward. When the people around you seemed to soften or brighten or lean in. When you knew without question that your light was doing something in the room. Leave that in the comments. These moments are not small. They are data points about your actual frequency, and reading them in each other's words strengthens the collective signal. Now, I want to address something that I know some of you are feeling, because it is one of the most common and most important questions that arises in the context of rare alignment windows and timeline shifts. What if you have been here before? What if you have felt this quality of readiness, this sense of a window opening, this specific aliveness of something about to change, and then watched it close without your life actually shifting in any lasting way? This is a real experience, and it deserves a real answer. Not reassurance, but mechanics. The reason most people move through alignment windows without their timeline genuinely changing is not that the windows are not real. It is not that their field is not capable of the shift. It is one of two things, or sometimes both. The first is that they engage the window at the surface level only. they set intentions. They do visualizations. They feel the excitement of possibility. But they do not go into the structural field, the deep layer of the aura where the old patterns are actually running. And so, the surface signal changes temporarily. The excitement of the window creates a brief spike in coherence, but the structural field reasserts its old pattern as soon as the excitement fades. The timeline bends slightly toward the new frequency and then springs back. The second is that they mistake the window for the whole journey. A rare alignment window is not a single moment of magic that either works or does not. It is the opening of a period of elevated field support. The Jupiter-Uranus conjunction does not close in a day. The North Node does not shift overnight. The standing wave in the field that this alignment generates persists for weeks, sometimes months, in varying degrees of intensity. The window is not a door that opens and closes in an instant. It is a sustained period of field support for the specific frequency of breakthrough and structural change. What this means for you is that the work you do today, in this highest intensity period of the alignment, is not the only work available to you. It is the beginning of a sustained practice of conscious broadcasting during a period of extraordinary field support. The structural release you do today will be amplified by the field. The coherence you establish today will be easier to return to tomorrow because the field is still organized around that frequency. The timeline shift you initiate today will continue to develop and deepen as you continue to work with your field during this window. Do not treat this as a single-day event. Treat it as the beginning of the most powerful, sustained practice of your field's life. Let me show you specifically what that sustained practice looks like, because the daily mechanics of working with your field during an alignment window are different from ordinary daily practice. During an ordinary period, the work of maintaining heart coherence and conscious broadcasting requires a certain amount of effort against the ambient field. The larger field, when it is not in an alignment window, is relatively neutral. It is not actively supporting any particular frequency, which means your personal field has to generate and maintain its coherence primarily from its own resources. During an alignment window like this one, the larger field is actively organized around a specific coherence frequency. This means that your personal field gets support, the entrainment effect I described earlier, that makes it easier to achieve and maintain coherence than it normally is. The effort required to hold your signal at the new frequency is reduced. The resistance to the structural shift is lower. The practical implication is this. The practices that would normally require significant, sustained effort to produce measurable field changes can, during this window, produce those changes with less effort and greater depth. This does not mean you do less. It means that what you do lands more deeply, restructures more completely, and holds more durably. The daily practice I recommend for the duration of this window is built around 3 specific moments in the day, each of which corresponds to a different aspect of the alignment's field influence. The first moment is upon waking, before you have fully re-engaged with the ordinary concerns of your life. This is the moment when your structural field is most plastic, most malleable, most open to conscious direction. The boundary between sleep and waking is a threshold state, a moment of genuine permeability in the structural field. Use it. Before you check your phone, before you review your mental list of what needs to happen today, spend 3 to 5 minutes in the Coherence breath, with your hand on your heart, feeling the frequency of the timeline you are moving toward. Let that frequency be the first broadcast of your day. Let it set the tone of your field before the habitual patterns of ordinary waking life reassert themselves. The second moment is midday, when the structural field tends to contract under the accumulated pressure of the day's demands. This is not a full practice. It is a reset. 30 seconds to a minute of conscious attention on your heart center. A single, slow breath. A brief return to the feeling of the new frequency. You are not doing the full structural work in this moment. You are maintaining the signal you set in the morning. You are reminding your field of the broadcast it is committed to. The third moment is in the evening, before sleep. This is the moment when your field processes the day's experiences and integrates them into the structural layer. What you bring to your field in the moments before sleep has an outsized influence on the structural patterns that run through the night. Use this moment for the full structural scan practice I described earlier. Move through your body with warm, conscious attention. Find the contracted places that the day has reinforced and let them release. And then return to your heart center and feel, one more time, the frequency of the timeline you are moving toward. Let that be the last broadcast before sleep. Let your field integrate it through the night. This 3-moment daily practice, maintained throughout the duration of this alignment window, is the sustained work of genuine timeline shift. Not the dramatic single gesture of a single powerful day, but the patient, consistent, structurally deep work of a field that is committed to its own coherence. There is something else I want to tell you about this alignment that is rarely discussed. And it is perhaps the most practically important thing in this entire transmission. The timeline you are moving toward is not a destination. It is a frequency. And the reason this distinction matters enormously is that most people, when they think about their best timeline, think about a specific set of external circumstances: the relationship, the career, the financial reality, the home, the health. They have a picture of what the best timeline looks like, and they spend their energy trying to broadcast toward that picture. But the picture is not the frequency. The picture is the external expression of the frequency. And if you try to broadcast toward the picture without first embodying the frequency, you are doing the equivalent of trying to tune a specific instrument by drawing a picture of it rather than actually touching the strings. The drawing is not the resonance. The resonance only happens when you make contact with the actual thing. The frequency of your best timeline is a felt sense in your body. It is the specific quality of aliveness that you feel when you are most fully yourself, most completely unedited, most genuinely in alignment with what your field is actually capable of broadcasting. It is not the feeling of having the things you want. It is the feeling of being the frequency that naturally draws those things. This is a subtle but crucial distinction, and the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus is specifically illuminating it. Taurus is the sign of embodiment, of what is real in the body, in the physical, in the sensory experience of being alive. The breakthrough this alignment offers is not a breakthrough into a better set of circumstances. It is a breakthrough into the embodied frequency of who you actually are. The circumstances follow from that. They are the downstream effect of the upstream signal. So when you do the timeline coherence activation, when you feel the frequency of the timeline you are moving toward, I want you to be precise about what you are feeling. You are not feeling the circumstances of the new timeline. You are feeling the frequency of the version of you who is living there. The quality of presence, the quality of aliveness, the specific electromagnetic signature of a field that is broadcasting without contraction, without dimming, without the structural interference of old patterns that no longer serve. That frequency is not in the future. It is in you right now, underneath the patterns that have been suppressing it. The alignment window is not bringing it to you from somewhere else. It is creating the field conditions under which you can feel it more clearly, hold it more easily, and broadcast it more consistently than you have been able to before. Your best timeline is not somewhere you are going. It is something you are becoming. And the becoming happens in your field, in the specific electromagnetic signature your heart broadcasts into the quantum field around you, in the coherence or the noise of your personal signal. The stars have aligned to support this becoming, not by arranging the circumstances of your life, by creating a field environment in which the frequency of your truest self is easier to feel, easier to sustain, and easier to broadcast than it has been in years. This is the gift of the rare alignment. This is what it means for the stars to be aligned for you. Let me speak now to a part of you that I know is present, the part that has heard things like this before and wants to believe, but is not sure it is allowed to. The part that has been through enough disappointment that it has learned to protect itself by not fully committing to the possibility of genuine change. I want to speak to that part, not with more reassurance, but with respect, because the caution it carries is not weakness. It is the accumulated wisdom of a field that has learned through experience that not every window that feels open actually leads somewhere, that not every wave of excitement translates into lasting change, that the gap between feeling the possibility and living the reality can be wide enough to fall into. That caution is real, and it is earned, and it deserves to be honored. And here is what I want to offer it, not as a bypass, but as a genuine answer. The difference between this window and the ones that felt promising and then closed is not the intensity of the feeling. It is the depth of the work. The windows that close without changing anything are the ones where the engagement stays at the level of excitement and intention, where the structural field is never actually addressed, where the old patterns are never actually met with the kind of conscious presence that allows them to release. The windows that open into genuine timeline shifts are the ones where someone is willing to go all the way into the structural field, to feel the contracted places, to meet them with full conscious attention, to let the old patterns complete themselves rather than trying to override them, to do the patient, unglamorous, deeply real work of electromagnetic restructuring rather than the exciting but surface-level work of intention setting and visualization. This transmission has given you the mechanics of the deeper work, not just the exciting surface of what this alignment means, but the specific, embodied, structurally deep practices that allow your field to actually use what this window is offering. The question is not whether the window is real. It is. The question is not whether your field is capable of the shift. It is. The question is whether you are willing to go deep enough to let it happen. And the part of you that is cautious, the part that has been disappointed before, that part is not your enemy in this. It is the part that knows the difference between genuine change and the feeling of genuine change. Honor it. Let it be present in the work, rather than something you have to get past. Let it be the quality of discernment that ensures you are doing the real work, rather than the exciting version of the real work. The stars have aligned for you. Not to hand you a better timeline on a silver platter, to create the field conditions in which the most real, most structurally deep, most genuinely lasting version of your timeline shift is available to you right now. Take it seriously. Go deep. Do the work. And now, let me close with something I want you to carry with you beyond this transmission. Something that will serve you not just during this alignment window, but in every moment of your field's life. Your aura, your personal electromagnetic field, is the most honest thing about you. It does not broadcast what you intend. It does not broadcast what you believe, or what you tell yourself, or what you want others to see. It broadcasts what you actually are at the quantum level, the actual frequency of your heart, the actual coherence or noise of your signal, the actual state of your structural field. This is not a vulnerability. It is a gift, because it means that the path to your best timeline is not the path of becoming a better performer of the frequency you want to inhabit. It is the path of actually inhabiting it, of doing the structural work that removes the interference between who you are and what you broadcast, of becoming so genuinely coherent with your own true signal that the broadcast and the reality are the same thing. The rare alignment happening right now is not asking you to become something you are not. It is creating the field conditions in which what you actually are can finally broadcast without interference. The standing wave in the larger field is not imposing a new frequency on you. It is amplifying the true frequency that has always been there, underneath the dimming, underneath the contraction, underneath the structural patterns of a lifetime of broadcasting something smaller than your actual signal. Your best timeline is not a reward for getting it right. It is the natural downstream effect of a field that is broadcasting at its actual frequency without structural interference. It is what happens when the gap between who you are and what you broadcast finally closes. That gap is closing right now. The field around you is supporting the closure. The work you have done in this transmission, the coherence you have established, the structural release you have initiated, has already changed your broadcast. Not completely, not all at once, but genuinely at the level of your actual electromagnetic signature. The quantum field has received a new signal from you today, and it will begin to assemble reality around that signal. This is not a promise about what the external circumstances of your life will look like in 6 months. It is a statement about the physics of how reality assembles around a coherent signal. What you broadcast, reality assembles around. You have changed your broadcast today. Reality will change around it. The stars are aligned for you. Not because the universe has decided to give you something special, because the rarest convergence of planetary frequencies in your lifetime has created the field conditions in which your own true signal can finally be heard. By the quantum field, by reality itself, and by the part of you that has known all along what frequency you are actually broadcasting when you stop dimming. You have been glowing this whole time, even through the dimming, even through the structural interference, even through all the years of broadcasting something smaller than your actual signal. The light was always there, underneath. Today, in this window, in this field, with this alignment amplifying the frequency of your truest broadcast, let it come through, all of it, the full signal, the actual frequency of who you are when you are not contracting around the fear of it. If this transmission has opened something in your field, consider returning to it in the stillness of early morning or in those quiet moments before sleep, when the structural field is most receptive and the signal lands deepest. And if there is someone in your life whose light has been dimming, whose field you can feel reaching for a frequency it has not quite found yet, share this with them. That act of sharing is not small. It activates their awareness of their own field, creates a resonance between your auras, and contributes something real to the collective luminosity we are all building together. The stars aligned for you, not to do the work for you, to make the work more powerful than it has ever been. You are a radiant field of quantum energy. Your signal is real. Your broadcast matters. And right now, in this rarest of windows, the entire field around you is organized to receive it. Shine, not because you should, because that is what you are. And because today, of all days, the sky itself is listening,